the good news. And so there needs to be conviction. There needs to be understanding of what it is, a life without Christ. And in this area of authority, we need to understand, we need to be mercy givers. We need to be people of compassion. See, there's authority given to those who care about other people, who really, genuinely care. Jesus sent them out 2 by 2, and to have power and authority over unclean spirits to heal. There is power in that, folks. And we need to tap into that. We need to be people of mercy. We need to be people who care. How in the world is God going to have that authority over these things come into us until we genuinely care about people? And it's not a matter of we just come and transfer a bunch of knowledge to them, because you know that old saying, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you truly come caring about other people, then we have the authority. And only then do we have the authority to speak into their lives a message of change. What a biblical principle here. But we've got to genuinely care about other people. And then there's the principle of accountability. Jesus sent them out 2 by 2, it says here in verse 7. He always sent them out in twos, not on their own. Hey, this isn't a lone ranger thing. We need to encourage one another. We need that. What was that verse I mentioned to Marie Felzone, I think? A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. You guys need to have that kind of fellowship at school. We need it in our workplace. We need it in our community, that we're not alone, that we have the support of one another. That we don't fear one another's accountability. That we can talk to one another and say, Adam, hey, man, you been reading your scriptures? Have you been into the Word? Have you been praying? How are you and God doing? We need each other. We need not fear that accountability. We're not lone rangers in this thing. We're not secret agent Christians. We're a fellowship. And that brings strength to us. You know, the weakest Christians are those who try to have a large assembly group relationship only. If your depth is only what's happening in this room on Sunday morning, then you're on very, very thin ice. You're on very, very shaky ground. You got to have somebody. Everybody needs to be connected to somebody in a discipleship fashion where you're 2 by 2. That cord of 3 strands, not easily broken. Accountability, speaking into one another's life. Wow. Then watch things begin to happen. Watch your life begin to change. Okay? We are all working together for our mission, for the vision. And the vision is, go ahead and repeat it with me. New Song is to be a community of faith. Telling others, what? Introducing others to Jesus and helping them fall in love with Him. And that helping them fall in love with Him is that continuing discipleship making. Because Jesus said, if you believe me, if you love me, you will obey my commands. Right? So we're a community of faith, this fellowship that is taking this message, introducing people to Jesus. Not to programs, not to assemblies, but to Jesus. And helping them fall in love with Him. That will change everything. That's the best thing in the world. That's how we do it. Worship team, go ahead and start making your way up here. As I just share 2 last things with you guys about this idea of being these principles of discipleship. One is that going demands leaving. Now, I love this next slide. You guys have all taken those little dandelions and puffed them, and those little things going flying around. You know each one of those is a seed, right? Do you know that? Okay, that's cool. Because here on this slide, you see a seed coming off one of those flowers. And what is that seed going to do? When it gets planted in the ground, it's going to grow. And it's going to... I should have known, Sammy. Security! So that seed's going to plant in the ground. It's going to grow another dandelion, which is going to have a bunch more seeds on it. It's going to multiply, right? You get that? And I love this because it also covers these last 2 points I want us to really embrace. That going demands leaving. That seed had to leave the rest of the pod. It had to leave. Those who come to Christ must go for Christ. Did you hear me? Those who come to Christ must go for Christ. The early church, as you study the book of Acts, you'll see they're always going. Why is it that today it's all about coming? Coming here. Coming here. Mark 16, 15, and 16. Jesus said, go. Go into all the world and preach the good news to all creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. He said, go. And really, to parse it out in the Greek, it's as you're going through life, you're to preach or teach or convey the good news to all people that you meet, wherever you go. Just like that dandelion. Man, you see those things in the summertime, and they're blowing those things. They're going everywhere, right? But many view salvation as bringing people into some large group room. I have got to tell you a sad story about a church leader many years ago. None of you know. But we're talking about this very idea of being disciples and making disciples and evangelism and sharing the gospel. You know what his answer was? Unfortunately, this guy was at least honest, and he was speaking a truth that many churches practice but don't actually say. He said this. He said, well, we got a building. We got a sign out front. The hours are published outside. We're in the yellow pages. The doors are open. They can come. If they want to be saved, they can come here. And they'll learn how to be saved. I'm telling you what, a major strand of Christendom believes that. They would never say it in such blunt terms. I call it the vacuum cleaner approach. You open the doors and you suck them in. That is so anti-biblical. That is so anti what Jesus said. He said, you're coming here in this building, and He did command us to come together for corporate worship, to give Him praise and honor. And through it, He blesses us and He strengthens us to go out. And that's where the church is really being the church. As we go and we make disciples and we get with another human being and we bring them into that closer relationship with Jesus Christ to the point where we duplicate in them the teachings of Jesus Christ in such a way as they're able now, do you follow me, to duplicate that in another human being. That's what it's all about. The vacuum cleaner approach is so practiced today, and we got all these different little trappings to suck them into the church building, that somehow that's going to be the thing that's going to do it. That is not Jesus Christ's plan, and that will not sustain the kingdom for the future. It never has, it never will. What's handled it for 2,000 years is the principle of Jesus Christ, His master plan. Not Tom's plan, not some new gimmick, simply you and me being obedient to Jesus Christ and going and teaching others and baptizing them and teaching them to be able to teach others to baptize and so on and so forth. Going demands leaving. If we're going to go somewhere, we've got to leave somewhere. And finding demands losing. Serving others will always demand sacrifice. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be something that from 10:30 till noon that somehow it's just going to work into my plans and be real easy. No, it demands sacrifice. Always demands sacrifice. There's no exclusion to that. Who can tell me, like these young people are in history class, how many people signed the Declaration of Independence? Anybody know? Adults, do you know? How many people? 56 guys signed the Declaration of Independence. Do you know how many of them died? 56. Do you know how many of them died as a direct result? Almost all of them lost their life directly or indirectly, or children, or properties and wealth and everything. Folks, they put their life on the line for what they believed. There is no great movement in the history of this world, no great movement in the history of this entire world in which if you're going to do something great, that it does not call for great sacrifice.